In this video, I'm asking the question, what's the best tarp for bike packing? Hello again folks, I'm Andrew and today I'm taking a look at different tarps suitable for bike packing. I'm going to show you 3 of my go-to tarps and some of their features that might be of interest for you for your next bike packing trip. So let's look at my 3 suggestions. Up until recently, these 3x3 meter tarps have been my go-to tarp because they're so versatile. This one weighs in at 790 grams and comes in its own packing bag. And it's virtually identical to the DD Hammocks 3x3 meter tarp. However, this comes in slightly cheaper at under £30. They come with reinforced corners and 16 tie down points with 3 down the centre line. When packed up, a tarp like this measures 25 by 15 by 5 centimetres. And that's certainly smaller and more versatile than a one-man tent. The 3 most versatile configurations for this type of tarp for me have been the A-frame, the lean-to and the tarp tent. So here's my poor attempt at an A-frame configuration. Normally if I was sleeping under this I'd have it a lot lower. When you're putting up this configuration, obviously you're going to need a ridge line and a couple of trees. Underneath the A-frame configuration, there's acres of room, plenty of room here to huddle together as a group, or if you needed more space to work on your bike. If you're caught out in inclement weather and you need to change the inner tube or work on that bottom bracket, now you've got some cover to do so. Depending on how you want to anchor the corners, if you have this in a lower position, you might be able to peg the corners directly into the ground, or like on this occasion, have some strings and tie-out points. This A-frame configuration is very versatile and it offers you loads and loads of space underneath. So this is the lean-to shelter. The advantage of the lean-to shelter is that the open side can be presented to a campfire, so you can take advantage of the heat on those cold nights, and by providing a ground sheet it's going to keep you and your kit dry if the ground's particularly damp. So this is the lean-to shelter. It uses half of the width of the tarp as the top protection and the second half of the tarp as a ground sheet, keeping you off the damp floor. As you can see, there's ample room under this shelter to be able to lay out and spread your gear. The 2 advantages of this type of configuration are: 1, the open side means that you can take advantage of a campfire if you wanted to light one in cold conditions, and 2, because the tarp is completely enclosed on the right hand side here, there's no way that wind or the elements are going to get to you or your kit. However, if you're in a more public area and you need a little bit more privacy, then maybe the tarp tent is for you. Maybe you're on a campsite, and in this configuration the added advantage is that you are more enclosed, which is going to keep you a little bit more sheltered from those inclement conditions. And next up is my tarp at the other extreme of the spectrum. It's the smallest tarp I have, and it's this, the DD Hammocks Magic Carpet XL. This is minute. In fact, you could even fit this in a pocket. Now this tarp when packed up, measures 28 centimetres by 8 centimetres diameter, and it weighs a staggeringly low 253 grams, which is nothing. Well, there's plenty of room to shelter under this DD Hammocks magic carpet, but it's nowhere near as spacious as the 3x3 tarp. So this tarp is measuring 2.2 by 1.4 meters square, and it's just not big enough to provide any kind of ground sheet. So in this situation, you're going to need some kind of seating pad or additional ground sheet. A tarp like this is certainly going to provide you with some essential protection if you get caught out in some inclement weather. You could sit out a storm or a rain shower quite comfortably here. But I'm not really sure how comfortable I would be for any kind of long-term camp. Certainly I'm going to have to think about some kind of ground sheet. But nevertheless, for those of you that are weight conscious, this tarp might be an ideal solution. This is a great little tarp, fantastic in those sort of catch you out sort of situations when you need a quick bit of shelter. Small enough to put into your pocket and lightweight, so there's no excuse not to carry one. But it is limited, it only has 4 tie down points and that's it. And finally I've got my third option, which is my military camo tarp. Now this measures 2.7 by 2.3 meters, and it weighs a little bit heavier, a little bit more heavy duty, and it's the sort of thing that I might use when the chances of ripping the material are more likely, so in close undergrowth with lots of brambles, for example. This military tarp of mine lies basically in the middle between my biggest and my smallest tarps. However, it's a little bit heavier than the others because of the material. It's also the only tarp that has metal eyelets and very strong reinforced centre ridgeline. Some hook out points. It's also the only tarp that has some tabs on the inside of the tarp, quite useful if you want to hang something like a small pendant light. So I've put out this military tarp in an A-frame all the way down to the ground, and this would be the typical configuration that I would have for an overnighter. In this configuration, however, I haven't got a ground sheet. Now you might consider taking a couple of tarps, maybe one as the main shelter and the second one as a dedicated ground sheet. The DD Hammocks Magic Carpet does come in 2 sizes. This one that I've shown you, and also the smaller one, which is a 1.4 by 1.4 square, and this will be even smaller and lighter and very useful if you want to use that as a dedicated ground sheet. Most tarps come in a variety of different colours. You can get them in browns or drab olive greens, or you might like to consider getting it in a camouflage pattern. This military tarp behind me comes as standard in a DPM camouflage finish, and it's ideal for concealing you on your wild camp or bike packing trip in British woodlands. So that's my 3 go-to tarp options and configurations. I hope it's given you something to think about. I hope you found it interesting, and whichever configuration or tarp that you choose for your next bike packing trip, I wish you all the best. Thanks very much for watching. Please consider subscribing, give a thumb up and share and like. Thanks ever so much, and see you on the next one.